Alter! Es kommt alles zusammen. Geh ich recht. So, da bin ich. Meine Webcam starte in 3, 2, 1. Start.
That's it. With your arms now.
Ich bin verdruckt, sorry.
That's
Die
it.
Webcam startet in 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Es dauert jetzt einen Moment. Webcam startet in 3, 2, 1. Cubase startet in 3, 2, 1. Klick. Das ist irgendwas. So, hello and welcome to another track insight with Modus and myself, Martin Mefjus. This time we look at the song Zenith I did with flowanastasia from Canada, from Toronto. And let's jump right in. As you can see, this thing was written in Cubase. I had like 3 individual projects for this song. One is this main Cubase project where most of the magic happens. Then there's one mixing project for the vocal, because as I'll show later, maybe now, the vocal stem I got in here is pretty much all processed already, so it can save some CPU. And the third project is the musical writing project, which we'll also have a look at. But let's start with this. First up, the drums. As per usual, I always sort of categorize the sounds I'm making. Bass drum, snare drum, hi-hat, some breaks are used, some extra ultrasounds, and some intro synth percussions. Yeah, let's jump right in. As you can hear, Anna's verse is complemented by this synth percussion loop here that is sort of playing the melody as the bass line does. And sort of to give the vocal like a fundamental back end, if you like. There comes a little break here, pretty standard stuff, filtered stuffs. Some hi-hats there, kick build to increase the tension or whatever, and then it drops. What's maybe a bit special here is that the kick groove is a bit off, I mean, you can tell it's a bit shifted to the right relative to the time. And there's 6 kicks in one bar, which is quite a lot, I think. Usually it's like 4 or 3. And what's also maybe special is that none of the kicks actually have a lot of bass with them, not a lot of sub. They're really, all of them end in sort of, 60 hertz, 70 hertz sort of range. And only one kick here has some more low end to it, just because of how the groove came together. As you can see here, yeah, it's sort of it's like an off kick that sort of plays against the groove, so that had a bit more space to get more low end. Snare pretty standard, sine fundamental with a couple of layers. As you can hear, like those are the main characteristic ones, which are bounces from the actual snare, which was created here, which is still in there for the intro, which had a different low end, a different fundamental, which was higher. And as I went with the project, I felt like pulling the fundamental frequency lower down, closer to where the bass is, it even makes it more the space more narrow and more claustrophobic, which I really liked with this song, to have it really intense in the mids and the low mids. Yeah, that's how the snare came together. Second 16 again is just a render of those guys, just really shortened with an audio file here. But same top line here, top end here, and then it goes back into the original snare, sorry. Hi-hats really reduced actually. If you look at this in the first bar, there's only one, over 2 bars, there's only one hi-hat, which is quite funny. Even though the song is really busy, there's not a lot of hi-hats there. And they just evolve as they go, as the song goes. More stuff coming in until they, in the second 16 release in this shaker loop here, that sort of transforms into like just noise at the end of the bar. and it just disappears really. And then we're coming back third 16 with a shaker sort of vibe, little aim and break here, and that's that really. So the drums are really simple, I'd say. It's all about just trying to figure out which hits you need, you know. I could have also dropped with a lot of hi-hats, but you know, it's all about the contrast of this full section here that's really, really dense, over the top almost, and then it sort of falls into this void almost, which was the most essential part for me about this song, why I sort of finished it and why I like it. And yeah, so you know what I'm trying to say is not always, you know, the drop doesn't always have to be full on top end, hi-hat, overhead, this and that. You know, sometimes simplicity is the way to go, especially if the rest of the song is quite dense. The bass section is split up into 4 sections, which is the melody section, the intro and outro, which is, I think it's a diva, that plays the same bass notes as the progression does, which I'll get into when we look at the musical project of this project. Yeah, outro stuff comes just a low pass Reese back in, just really, little effects there, so extra layers. Nothing too special here. Second one here, this is actually the main groove, and it looks a bit off-putting. A lot of the sounds are weirdly created by some buses and sound effects and stuffs. And it's one of those ones, you know, where you make a song, and then you you go back in and come back around and you know, add some further stuff and shit. I don't want to go too far into it because it's fucking ridiculous. And you see, this guy doesn't even output correctly. It just creates all the sound effects because I rendered the actual sound, but I needed the processing and the sound effects that are still going, like sound effects and tight ambience and all this shit is still playing, which is in the sound section. Those guys are created by the Swift that's actually outputted to nowhere because I think at some point it was so CPU heavy that I had to render this guy here. So this is actually the main sound put into audio already. So yeah, this section is a bit, you know, is not to be taken so seriously because, like I said, I went back and forth with this project, came back in, didn't really mind the routing I did because I just wanted to vibe with it. So it's a bit of a mess, but it was a bit of a mission to get right. I'm happy I did. Third 16 has this little square update here, which I also had to put into audio because it was bugging a little bit. I don't know why. So yeah, you see the square shifting FM-wise, but also delay is being added to it. And those guys are also sending into the same bus as the OG riff does. But you guys, you know, the guys who've been following me know my routing is sometimes a bit out there. But at the end of the day, I think, it was okay. And we got there in the end. Second 16 is just an 808 with, you know, some bass emphasis parts there. And the outro, similar stuff, just 808 additions. Nothing too crazy. Let's have a quick look into the effects, which is a lot of noises and rises and stuff, you know, pretty standard. The only thing here maybe to mention is I made a whole like mods section, which is also playing the same rhythm as the riff does, but you know, with only like noises, bleeps and squares and whatever, just to create emphasis on the same rhythm as the riff does. So if you play that together, it should make sense. And then some drones. to keep the tension going over the second 16. The theme, that was actually the main idea of the song. After I made the first draft groove-wise, I was like, this song doesn't have a lot of melodies. It's just, sound design pieces put together. So I felt like, let's try some melodies on top of that. And that was made with this guy, with the Moog Sub 37. So you can hear like this guy's entirely mono, straight down the middle, I think. Let me just double check. I can't open this guy. Yeah, almost. I think there's some processing, like a send reverb or some stuff. And then the melody is just some notes I played with the Moog that I really liked, and then I paired those with some Serum, like really controlled additions for left and right business, as you can see, my pan. And that essentially created the main theme of the song in the beginning. That was the thing that sort of made the song go from a sound design project into sort of a drop project that you can actually play out, and that that's sort of exciting. And after I had that, I still felt like there's not a lot of music in this song, and that's when I really like dove back into the tune and tried to create some life, like some music around the sound design of this theme, which is here. It's only just the bounces, but maybe let's use this this point to actually go into the music project of this project, to have a look at how the music came together, and then we look at the vocal project as well. Cool. So let's cut here, and I'll be back with the writing scoring project. Okay, so this is the writing/scoring project of Zenith, and it is basically two melodies. One melody I wrote before I went on tour in April 2022. Fuck. And the second one I wrote during the tour, and it was funny. I knew the key and the scale of the song and just wrote two different melodies. And when I came back from tour, I put them together, and they actually worked nicely. So the whole song plays around this A-B environment, which is this melody. Nice sawtooth melody, horrible. So that was the first melody I wrote, and then the second melody I wrote on tour on my laptop, which goes like this. And then I put this into context, into some classical instruments, because I always wanted to do this. We did it with No Tomorrow, but Marks and Ronnie did a lot of the sound design in terms of orchestral of the orchestral parts for that song. So I always wanted to try that myself, and that was my first attempt to do so. So the melodies we just heard is basically this phrase would be like the A section, and this is the B section. And Anna wrote vocals, which works on the B section, but also on this third musical bit, which is, if you remember from the previous project, which is this Moog sort of theme. And that was the difficulty, to combine those three writings into one song, and it worked out in the end. So as you see, the intro is very orchestral or classical, with this piano sort of doing the main work here, but combined with this tiny subtle synth loop that has some MP in there as well, which is quite nice. And then we go into the switch, into the B section already, where the whole emotion switches. And I found it just super epic to sort of recreate the melody with orchestral pieces. And it was super much fun to do so. And like I said earlier, in the beginning there was this sound design phase then there was this phase of trying to find a drop, like a theme, like a short theme that is, that you can bring back in the song. And then to finish it off, I really felt like the whole thing could benefit from some music. And those 3 elements at the end of the day then came together into this writing piece. So as you know, in the second 16, there's this 808 coming back in and Anna's vocal coming back in. So in this section, it was a bit of finding the middle ground between those 3 progressions here to be able to sort of resolve in a melody that's complementing the Moog theme, which I was talking about earlier. It was a bit tricky, but we got there in the end, and I'm super happy how it sounded. And my favorite part of the song is actually this little woodwind section in the breakdown, because I'm a sucker for some flutes and stuff. I love this stuff. Never done it before. So playing with expressions of flutes and all the different layers of them, it's just so fucking like, I just love those instruments, Some oboes in there, some flutes in there, and they just come together so nicely. Like sonically, flutes is just so cool. Like all the woodwind section is so amazing. Let me just play this by itself. Just love this section. And again, this is the B section I was talking about. Even though it sounds horrible, you can just play this over the top and it will work. You see? And that was so interesting to me how like a little MIDI clip or like a sawtooth MIDI loop idea can really translate later into an epic melody, And then it goes into the super, emotional section here, which is complemented by a little Reese there. So yeah. Let me just play all the elements. And it's so funny when you think about all those elements playing together and coming together and just really creating this full spectrum of sound. I really enjoyed working on this musical section, I hope you enjoyed that. And let's maybe have a quick look into the vocal processing part of the song as well, because there was also some work. So let's cut here and jump into the vocal mix project. So this is the vocal project, which was quite tricky to get right. So you have to imagine I sent Anastasia the instrumental idea, and then we were going back and forth with the vocal she was writing, how we can implement it into the mix, and how the song progresses further. So this, at the end of the day, is just one stem here, but every edit you see here is a syllable being changed or a pop sound being removed, or another, like a re-recording we had to do because I wasn't happy or Anastasia wasn't happy. So audio editing with Cubase is really, really good, I have to say. Like for me, that's why I still stick with Cubase, because it's just so flexible. What you can, glue stuff together, crossfade stuffs. It's just super handy with that. And you see, there's so much editing going on just for this one vocal. And at the end of the day, you'll then land here. And that was the reason why I wanted to extract it from the actual Cubase project, because if you imagine having all the sound design parts there, and then you have to focus on the vocal mix as well. There's so many things that can distract you and not focus you on what's in front of you. So I completely mixed the vocal in relation to the musical project, which I still have sort of online here. Like the basic main sounds are still working here. So I had an idea where I was mixing towards too. But yeah, sometimes it really helps having different sessions for different parts of the song. And yeah, maybe some interesting point of view as well in terms of how I process my vocals is you see just a bit pre-compression here. So you see it's gain reduction by -3, -4 dB just to get the levels on the same level. And then there's a bit of processing here. You see actually those guys are unused as far as I can see. So let's maybe have a listen at the verse here with and without processing. Just making it louder, but the essence is still there, really. So you can have a quick look, bit of mid-controlling, rolling off some stuff, boosting some stuff, master played on the whole thing, give it some nice room, wave shaping it a little bit, then obviously de-essing it. That's the good old, those of you who've worked with vocals know it's always like making it loud, de-essing it, making it loud again, de-essing it. And that's what I did here like 3 times in a row. You see, shaping it, de-essing it, shaping it, EQing it. In this case, doing nothing. Maybe it's like, no, it's doing nothing. Well done. And another de-esser here. You see, but all of those values are really low. You see, it's not even -3 dB here. It's very subtle. And then limiting it and bussing it, not even bussing it, this is the final bus here. So all these send effects, which is I think a tiny room or a tiny delay. Tiny delay is routed back into this. Oh no, it's actually on the stereo output. Okay, that's cool. So this is the whole track delay. So if you see, just a little delay there. So yeah, after stitching it together, treating it the way I did, I put like this stem as a render back into Cubase, into the main project where we jump to now for a last final look how it all came together. So yeah, see you in the other project again. So, after some technical difficulties on my end here, we are back at this master project, which we started with in the beginning. And I just showed you how this vocal stem came together. This is the main stem here, so there's not a lot of processing necessary anymore on this one. And you see, still, there have been some stitches here, like some syllables that I wanted to be the same or, interchanged. I was still editing stuff here. And creating other effects with this big vocal stem we just saw previously. Let's maybe have a quick listen to the song one last time.
Overthinking about what you said.
So like,
overthinking, this must be the end.
So like I said before, there's some effects still being created, like those guys here. Which is the held note by Anna, which was really good, but obviously no one can, or I don't know if someone can hold this note for like 22 seconds without having to breathe and stuff. It's so it's like like a little micro loop there that ends in this sort of resolving phrase. And what I like about this is that this phrase here is a different progression than it is in the second resolved.
I can see beauty in the view from up here. View from up here. View from up here.
And those were the last sort of changes we did with the song. A big shout out to Tir Kahoot as well, who is Anna's recording artist, and he recorded the vocals with us. A really good engineer, really good producer as well. So big up you, dude, for recording this, and thanks for going back in a couple of times with stuff I wasn't happy with. Da, da, da. And yeah, I'm super happy about all the extra recordings we did. For instance, Anna sent me a whole bunch of like freestyled ad-lib sort of stuff like this. That's a bit odd, but you know, stuff like this, ad-libs. So all those, like I told her to do another like 2 or 3 takes with just ad-lib stuff. And that actually made the outro really cool. As you remember, like this interpretation here.
Getting caught in these tormenting thoughts, but if I get out of my ego,
so it's different to this.
but if I get out of my ego.
So this is very linear and very, I would almost say, yeah, very drum and bass, very scientifically correct. And this in the outro, where the whole beat is more like a jam. Sorry, where the instrumental is very vulnerable as well. It makes so much sense for the vocal to be also playing around more, which is yeah, I found a really great moment there. And then the spoken whisper thing. That's cool. And then the whole syncopation is differently, like it lands later on this held note, which is a really cool moment, I think. And then, like all those notes here, just ad-libs Anna did on top of stuff, and I cut it together to give it one last epic sort of let's go moment. And that's that. Thanks for tuning in. This is Mefjus featuring flowanastasia, Zenith. This tune is out on Modus. Let's go!